Weekend trip part 1. I split this into two because it was just too much writing. I really need to work on condensing things, I know. I'll probably post the second half tomorrow, but in short, the trip didn't turn out as well as I'd hoped, but my grandparents are amazing, lovely people. I finally got to meet my grandparents this past weekend. We had the plan set that my dad and I would leave on Saturday morning and come back Monday afternoon. Unfortunately, my dad had a work crisis come up and he called me on Friday afternoon to tell me he wouldn't be able to go. I was so bummed and I know he felt really guilty. But at the same time, I really wanted to meet my grandparents, and I already scheduled the days off at work, so I kind of had my weekend planned around going. I consider myself an independent person, so I didn't mind going by myself, even though I obviously would have preferred my dad to be there. My mom, on the other hand, felt differently. She didn't want me to drive that far away on my own. It's about 3 hours away. So we compromised, and she said if Josh goes with me, I can go. As soon as Josh heard they lived right by a lake, he was in. I called my grandparents and they said they would love if I still came and that Josh was more than welcome to come along. So he and I drove over on Saturday, and when we got there, I was nervous as heck. We knocked, and when they came to answer the door, I instantly recognized them from our FaceTime call on Christmas. But for some reason, my brain shut down for a second. I stupidly asked them if they were their first names, and they both laughed. And my grandpa said, "Don't you dare call us by our first names. You call us Grandpa and Grandma." And my grandma chimed in saying Josh better call them the same because they don't have enough grandkids and now they have two more. I loved them right then and there. It was just such a breath of fresh air after the meeting with Ryan. We went inside, set our bags down, and had lunch. My grandma made sandwiches, and we all just talked about our lives for a couple hours. My favorite part was hearing about their lives, how they met, what their parents were like. It's like this whole other side of my family tree just opened up, and I'm learning so much about where I come from. I could have listened to their stories all day, to be honest. They showed me a bunch of pictures of my dad as well. To be honest, I thought they were being kind and trying to make me feel welcomed when they kept telling me how much I looked like him in his youth. But then I saw the pictures of him as a teenager and I understood what they meant. It literally looked like it could be pictures of me if I was wearing 90s clothes and had a bad haircut. Me and Josh were both shocked at how strong the resemblance is. Later in the day, my grandma wanted to make a pie for dessert. She says she loves to bake and we were celebrating, so she offered to teach us her family recipe for cherry pie. As we were finishing up with the pie, we were surprised to see my dad show up. He said the work issue got resolved a lot easier than he thought it was, so he headed straight over there. I was thrilled until I saw Ryan walk through the door shortly after him. I was confused because my dad said that was his mom's weekend. I discreetly asked about it while Ryan was saying hi to our grandparents, and he just said it didn't work out, whatever that means. I didn't post about it, but I did go over to my dad's house for dinner last week. It was nowhere near as bad as New Year's Eve, but Ryan still didn't really talk to me. There was one moment where I thought he and I had something to connect on, but he shut it down pretty quickly. So when I saw Ryan walk through the door, I was a bit concerned because he just doesn't like me and he makes it pretty obvious. Despite that, the first hour and a half were fine. Ryan did say hi to me. Well, to be more accurate, he said, "Sup, pretty boy," which was kind of annoying because that seems to be the name he's decided for me. I don't understand it or like it. I mean, yeah, I like to dress nice and take care of myself, but I'm not wearing makeup or spending hours in front of a mirror. But I just let it go and said hi. Josh and Ryan greeted each other. All was good. Ryan was just talking to our grandparents and my dad. He didn't talk to me or Josh other than saying hi, but that was fine. But then my grandma's timer went off for the pie, so I followed her to the kitchen and offered to take the pie out. Ryan followed us and he made a comment about how I'm trying to come off as Mr. Nice Guy. It didn't even make sense. The oven is low to the ground and she's an older woman, so why wouldn't I offer to get it for her so she doesn't have to bend down? To me, that's just common courtesy. I wasn't trying to put on an act. I would do the same thing for my maternal grandma. But I just asked him to please not start with that because I just came to have a good weekend. He started to argue, but our grandma told him to knock it off and not to start a fight in her house. He said sorry to her and walked out of the kitchen. Oh man, I wanted to hug her and kiss her on the cheek. I thought, finally, there's an adult who sees how he acts, calls him out on it, and shuts it down instead of babying him. Granted, she did ask me to be patient because this is probably really hard for him to come to terms with, that he's not the only child or grandson anymore. I told her I'm completely fine with giving Ryan time and space. I just hate that he acts so unnecessarily rude. We were all having a good time, so why does he have to try and to start drama just because I offered to take a pie out of the oven, you know? Anyway, so the rest of the night was fine. Ryan kind of shut down and was mostly quiet. My dad did pull him aside and talk to him at one point. I don't know what was said, but Ryan was more talkative to our grandparents after that. More specifically, he started recounting the greatest hits of his relationship with our grandparents. I think he was doing it on purpose, but maybe I'm just pessimistic. Either way, I ignored it and we had a really great night. The pie was delicious, by the way. There was a minor issue when it came time to assign sleeping arrangements. They only have 2 extra rooms in their house, so originally it was gonna be me and my dad each having our own room, but we went from 2 to 4 with Josh and Ryan added in. So my grandma suggested my dad take one room and me, Josh, and Ryan take the other. And I was just thinking, there is no way I'm staying in a room with Ryan overnight. I don't think either one of us would be comfortable with that. Josh and I told them we were fine sleeping on the couches in the living room so Ryan and my dad could have the rooms, but none of the adults were having it. So finally, Ryan suggested he and our dad share a room and Josh and I take the other, which I thought was a good compromise. And to be honest, I thought it was really cool of Ryan to willingly give up the room. Josh and I were talking that night and we agreed hopefully that was a sign that things were looking up for him. We were wrong.